right, so hello Phoenix family. My name is Renina Ross and I am the guidance counselor here at RISE. This is my 6th year working at FCPS, and prior to working for Fayette County Public Schools, I was a juvenile service clinician at the Department of Juvenile Justice. Today I'm going to be joined by the fabulous Dr. Jessica Birdwhistell, and I will allow her to introduce herself shortly. Per your request, during our time together, we will talk about holiday stress, mental health, and resources available to help you and your family during this unprecedented time. Change the slide, please. And to the next one. In March of this year, our lives were abruptly changed. Like many of you, I vividly remember what happened. I turned on the news and everyone was talking about COVID. In my mind, I remember comparing it to the Ebola virus. My initial thought was, it is another virus. We'll talk about it. It'll be here for a little while and then it'll go away. It was right before lunchtime and my principal called a meeting with all staff with the exception of the classroom teachers. During this time, he stated that school was going to be closed indefinitely due to COVID. As you can imagine, there was an uproar and questions started flying. He further stated that we needed to contact parents and guardians immediately and let them know in order to ensure the safety of students, staff, and their families, we would not return until instructed by the district. He also encouraged us to let families know that we would be in touch with them with additional information. I never imagined that months later we would still be impacted by this pandemic. Even though we have all been impacted in different ways, nevertheless, our normal has been altered. Our interactions with others have been limited, and we are encouraged to change our holiday traditions. So one of the parents asked this question. You can change the slide. How to help my scholar deal with the parent not being home for the holidays, on top of being unable to participate in our usual Christmas activities because of the pandemic. I think this is a great question that was posed. And in order to prepare your kids for the holidays during COVID-19, next slide please. First and foremost, I want to encourage you to talk about it. Ask your child how they are feeling. If your kids are having a difficult time adjusting to changes in your plans, let them know that you understand and that you feel disappointed too. It is extremely important as adults that we validate the scholars and our children's feelings. I would also encourage you, when you speak to them and you provide them with validation, that you allow them to share their thoughts and their feelings and help them appreciate that even though things are different, we can still celebrate our new normal. If you acknowledge their negative feelings, you have to teach them positive reframing. And I know some of you are asking, what in the heck is positive reframing? I'm going to give you an example. So you might say, I am sad too that we can't go to Aunt Cindy's house this year, but staying at home will mean we'll have more time to play. You get to stay and play with all of your toys, and mom or dad also gets to relax. And perhaps we can find some more cookie recipes to try. I know Director Jacobs loves cookies, and so I know that she will be all about cookie recipes. So if you all need some additional cookie recipes, Make sure you contact Director Jacobs because she loves cookies. I would also encourage you all to start talking to your children now. Don't wait until 1 or 2 days before Christmas or the holiday that you celebrate, because let me tell you, it may not work out in your best interest. But if you talk about them now, then you're providing them with the preparation. So sit down together as a family and come up with a plan for how you will celebrate. It is extremely important for the scholar to feel a part of the process. You can ask them questions like, what can we do to make this year special? You could also ask them their favorite movies from the past. Their favorite memories, from the past. What did they used to like to do? And you can incorporate them this year as well. You can also ask them, what do you like about the holidays? So essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to focus on what you can do. Focus on the rituals and traditionals you can continue to do together rather than focusing on what you can't do. For example, if your family traditionally has holiday dinner together, plan a meal together via Zoom. I know it won't be the same, but you'll be around your family and you'll be able to interact somewhat as if you were together. Or if your family celebrates Hanukkah, schedule a time for everyone to light the menorah together. Or if you open gifts during the holidays, you could also schedule a time via Zoom to open the gifts together. So let's focus on what we can do and not so much on what we can't do. And I think the most important thing that you can do this holiday is create new traditions. One new tradition that we did in our family was we have a cousin over the Thanksgiving break. He lives in Baltimore, Maryland. He typically comes here and stays with our family so we could celebrate from the holidays. We sent him a care package, and let me tell you all, it was like we sent this man, he's an older man and he's a single man, but it was like he hit the lottery and we sent him $1 million. It actually had food in it, and he ate the food. I was surprised because I didn't know how well it would preserve, but it did. It made it all the way outside of Baltimore, Maryland, and he was able to eat that food. So this is an idea or a new tradition that you could use for some of your family members if they live far away and they may be celebrating alone. I don't know about you all, but guess what? Miss Ross loves a friendly competition. Let me tell you, I am all about some competition. So what you could do is you could potentially, if you have a lot of younger kids, and you can get the adults in on this too, a new tradition, a friendly competition. You could have a talent show via Zoom. No, you won't be together, but guess what? You all could dance, you can do whatever you like to do. Or like we did at Rise, we had a friendly competition with the gingerbread house. Let me tell you, I was so impressed. The scholars really showed up for this activity. I mean, we had the best participation yet. It was a friendly competition and they were able to share and do what they like to do. So this is something that you could potentially do with your family. Or you can make holiday treats and you could share those and send those to each other via mail as well. Something else and another tradition that I would love for you all to do is document what you're doing. You could do this by writing a journal, or you could create a scrapbook or videos. Because guess what, guys? Things will not always be like this. But in the future, if you document this holiday, you can always go back and reminisce on what you did and how grateful you were in the midst of trying times. I would also like for you to reconnect to the values behind the celebrations. I feel like sometimes with the hustle and bustle of life, yeah, we do meet up for holidays, but sometimes we forget the true importance of the holidays, like being thankful for what you have. It's also a time where you're able to give to others. This is a tradition that you could teach your children. And it's also a time for hope. Hope is an optimistic state of mind that is based on an acceptance of positive outcomes with respect to events and circumstances in one's life or the world at large. So while you're creating those new traditions, let's be optimistic. Next slide, please. Does anybody have any questions? Well, while you think about it, I want you to reflect on this as well. We must remember that feelings are contagious. So take care of your own feelings so that you can model that coping for your children. So as adults, if we are positive, then guess what? Our scholars will be positive as well. However, if we are negative, then you know what? The kids are going to be sad as well. So make sure that we remain optimistic. I would like for this to be an interactive time that we have together because guess what? We're a Phoenix family. Are there any new traditions that anybody would like to share that they may do this upcoming year that we may be able to incorporate over the holiday season? All right, if you don't have any yet, that's fine. But if you come up with something, then definitely let us know because I would love to start some new traditions with my family. All right, next slide. So at this time, I would like to introduce somebody that is, like I previously mentioned, a partner to RISE and an extremely knowledgeable partner. And her name is Dr. Birdwhistell, and she is a school psychologist at Winburn Middle School. Dr. Birdwhistell, can you please come off mute and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jessie Birdwhistell, and like Ms. Ross was saying, I'm a school psychologist for the district. And I first just want to thank Ms. Ross and the staff at RISE for putting together this great session among several and for inviting me to be a part of it today. This is my 8th year as a school psychologist in the district, serving this year both RISE and Winburn Middle School. I have served Winburn all 8 years, but have previously also served at Meadowthorpe Elementary and Russell Cave Elementary. And I was going to take just a minute to share a little bit about my role in the schools here in the district. A big part of my role is assisting with initial and reevaluations for special education services, but there are several things that I am able to and involved in assisting with beyond that. And that would include being involved with coming up with plans or assisting with providing interventions related to a variety of areas such as academic skills, behavior, social emotional functioning, or vocational skills. I also work with families, students, and school staff to help get them connected with resources that are available both at school and in the community. I work with students in providing individual and small group counseling. And I know that RISE is in a unique position this year with being a new school and kind of being able to build from the ground up in terms of getting all of the systems in place, which I've been very impressed with, but some of the things at the school level that I've previously been involved and am able to assist with would include things like PBIS or behavior structures, trauma-informed initiatives, as well as just supporting the overall social emotional functioning and needs of students. So again, I'm just very thankful to have been assigned at RISE and to have the opportunity to be a part of the school. Ms. Ross had asked me to attend today to briefly introduce myself and to also just talk a little bit about some strategies to support scholars during this unusual time. And she is so knowledgeable and such a great resource and has already shared several great ideas. And I know in the remainder of the presentation, we'll go into more detail about several more great ideas. But some of those that she will be sharing about that I just want to reiterate and echo as things that really are beneficial. Sometimes they can seem very small, but really have a big impact. But at the same time, we know that our families are really being asked to do a lot right now with everything going on, so that these aren't necessarily always easy strategies, but things that can just be helpful for your scholar and for your family. And like Ms. Ross was mentioning earlier, so one of the things that can be really helpful right now is just providing that consistency and that predictability, helping scholars know kind of what that schedule is going to look like each day, both as it relates to school as well as things outside of school, so that they can kind of know what to expect and be planning for those things. But on the other hand, so much is out of our control right now and out of the control of our scholars. So really giving them some say and some control and offering them some choices so that there can be things that they feel like they can still have input in and have some control over, again, during these times where so much control has been taken away from us. Another thing is thinking about just that meaningful interaction, and especially non-screen time. We know that we've had to shift, the way that we're providing education right now to really rely on screen time in the virtual setting. And while that's been very beneficial, really thinking about how can we be intentional in providing that meaningful interaction, in the home setting and among our family that takes out that additional screen time. Things like Ms. Ross mentioned, just having those, conversations with your child or your scholar about, really reflecting on what are things that are going well for you right now, what are things that you think could be better or that I could do to better support you, both as it relates to school as well as things outside of school. And really, being intentional. We all, again, are being asked to do so much right now and are so busy, but thinking about those things like that family game time, family meals, going for a walk together. So just finding, that time where you can spend with your child and really connect. Another thing is as much as we are spending time with screens doing school and going into winter and the weather turning colder, the importance of those movement breaks and that physical activity, really thinking about how to continue to embed that into just that daily routine. And lastly, I know Ms. Ross will speak to this again briefly in the presentation, but just that social piece. Children and adults right now are becoming so isolated with the pandemic and with the virus. And so really just thinking about how can we continue to meet those social needs that we know our children and as adults that we have as well. And I know Ms. Ross has mentioned, just using FaceTime to try to find ways to connect with other students from class, with family members, maybe students or children from your child's previous school to stay in contact. Even thinking about things, that typically that social time that we might have at school while we eat lunch together with our peers, thinking of ways that we can find to continue to connect with peers so that they still have those social opportunities. And I know, like I said, Ms. Ross will speak in more detail to several of these as she continues, but these are just some areas and some small things that could just continue to provide that additional support for your child and for your family as we just continue to navigate what is these just unusual and these difficult times. But just want to thank you all again, for the opportunity to be a part of the RISE staff and for including me in this session today as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Birdwhistell. We are so fortunate to have you and all the knowledge that you bring to our team. So thank you so much for being here and your willingness to always be supportive of our staff and our families and our scholars. If you have any questions for Dr. Birdwhistell, feel free to write those in the chat, or if you think of a question later on, we will have contact information at the end of our presentation where you could send an email, or if I want to let everybody know that everything that you discuss with she and I and just the RISE staff in general, it is confidential. So you don't have to worry about if you have a conversation with us that we're going to tell somebody else, because that is not what we're about at RISE. And I just want to reinforce that and just let you know that everything you do talk to us about will be held within confidence. Next slide, please. All right, so another parent asked this question. This pandemic and virtual learning has been impossible for my child with ADHD. Is there anything I can do for focus? Next slide, please. I want for this parent who wrote this question to know that I am pretty sure you are not the only parent that feels this way, especially if you have a kiddo that has ADHD. And even if your kid doesn't have ADHD, they're probably having some difficulties thriving in this environment. I just wanted to let everybody know that 8.8% of children ages 14 through 17 have ADHD. Next slide, please. So ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder and is a condition characterized by inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. While ADHD is usually diagnosed in childhood, it does not only affect children. An estimated 4.4% of adults also have ADHD. And if you can look on the screen, just for the sake of time, I won't go through all these, but I do want to review some of the symptoms that children with ADHD may have. Like I said, the inattention. So you will often see that they have a short attention span for their age. They also may have difficulty listening to others, and they have a difficulty attending to details. These kiddos that struggle with inattention, they are easily distracted, and they're also very forgetful. And when I mean forgetful, I mean they may lose things quite often. Like if they had a cell phone, they can never find their cell phone. If it's even something as simple as a pencil, they may lose it, and you may be thinking, why in the world do you keep losing this pencil? But it is part of the inattention. They also have difficulty with core organizational skills. Dr. Birdwhistell, was there anything that I may have left off that comes to mind as far as kiddos with inattention? I feel like these kiddos are the ones that sometimes they are under the radar because they're not typically your behavior kids. They're not the kids that are, very hyperactive and kind of all over the place. You're not going to see these kiddos for the most part fidgeting around. Their motor's not always like, you're not going to physically see that. It's not going to be really visible as far as, them moving and moving and moving. I know that some other things are impulsivity. These symptoms look like they blurt out answers instead of being waiting to be called on. They're going to interrupt a whole lot, and they do have difficulty waiting their turn. And so these are some of the symptoms that you may see, and I'm pretty sure that the parent who wrote this question is probably like, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of those things. And so what we can do in order to help them in this new learning environment, next slide, please. We can provide these scholars with ADHD the virtual accommodations. So some things that we can do, I want to explain to you all as far as accommodations. So students with ADHD often benefit from accommodations, and accommodations are changes that remove barriers and provide your child with equal access to learning. Please remember that accommodations don't change what your child is learning. Rather, they change how your child is learning. And so some accommodations that you can try, and you can do this for any of your scholars at home parents. Don't feel like if your kid is not diagnosed with ADHD that, these are things that you don't want to try, because you could. They're in a new environment. So some accommodations that you can use timers. You may have to give the kid an extra break. They may need more than the classroom breaks. If you do this and feel like your scholar needs additional breaks, please communicate with the staff so that they don't just think the kid's running off. Let the teacher know, my kid is struggling, sitting there for a long period of time. I feel like our school is good with movement breaks, but some kids, they need extra breaks. Another accommodation that you can use to help your scholar is you can use sensory tools. So you can provide them with fidgets, and fidgets are like Play-Doh or putty or Velcro strips, squishy balls or squishy toys, slime, or anything like that. You can get creative. I know some parents have even used rice, because you have that in your house, and put it in a bowl just so the kid can focus on concentrating while they're playing with other materials. Flexible seating is another accommodation that you can try. If your kid is having difficulties concentrating, ask them to stand up. They may do better laying on the floor, or if they have a backless chair, or sitting on a stability ball. These are some other seating options that you can try. We talked about movement breaks, and you may also want to get your scholar some noise canceling headphones. This helps out a lot. It limits their distraction from what's going on in the background. I know that some of you all are working from home. Your kid might be sitting right beside you, so they're trying to stay engaged, but they're listening to what's going on with you as well. So if we have those headphones, you know, this will help them with their concentration as well. I had learned a new one too about chewing gum. And I was like, that's something I might want to try, because it helps, you know, when you're chewing, you're focusing on that. You are really intentional when you chew gum. And so that's something that you all can try as well. Some other options that you may want to try is, like Dr. Birdwhistell had talked about, schedule. A schedule is imperative for these scholars. They need to know, sometimes one schedule that I know we've tried in the past is right now we're doing this, and once we get done with this, then we will do this. So it allows them to focus on the task at hand and not everything else that'll be going on throughout the day. And if you can also give them a quiet, designated workplace. I know sometimes this is not feasible, but if it is, I would highly recommend that. Dr. Birdwhistell, do you have anything else you want to add? I've seen something pop up in the chat. I'm going to try to get to it.
No, I think these are all great suggestions. I just dropped a couple additional ones in the chat, just as things that could be helpful. You've already mentioned the visual schedule checklist, so that they know in terms of task-oriented things, you know, what needs to be completed, and can actually mark those off either visually or physically once they've accomplished those. An organizational system for school materials. So much of it is online, so it's already kind of organized, but any types of paper materials or notes or anything at their workstation, you know, assisting them with having an organizational system for that. Definitely just that explicit positive reinforcement and praise, really labeling those positive things that they're doing. That, you know, I love how you got started right away. I love how you completed that task in the right amount of time. Having them repeat directions back, making sure that they understood and that they, you know, heard all of the directions in their entirety. And then, like you said, reducing the distractions as much as possible in that educational setting. Those are each just small things that, you know, may or may not work for your individual scholar depending on their needs, but just things to be considered that could be helpful supports for them.
Thank you, Dr. Birdwhistell. And I love the last thing that you said when you said it may or may not work. I just want parents to know it is based on trial or error. Everybody works and, you know, learns differently. So some of these strategies may work for one scholar and not for another scholar, but don't feel defeated. We have to keep trying until we find the perfect remedy for that individual scholar. We firmly believe with treatment and strategies, people with ADHD can be successful in school and at work and lead productive lives. We just have to find the appropriate strategies for that scholar. All right, next slide, please, Mrs. Green. Do we have any questions? Is there any questions that a person just feels like they just want to ask right now? All right, like I said previously, if you all change your mind later and think of something, definitely let us know. All right. We also had another parent ask this question. How can I help my child cope with missing her friends? Dr. Birdwhistell kind of touched on this a little earlier when she was talking about how we can't remain isolated and how we have to remain social, especially in this current times. And so I want to give you all some innovative ways to help your children stay socially connected, even though they are physically apart. So you could do virtual play dates. I know that we want to limit screen time, but sometimes it is necessary, you know, in our current situation. So you could do virtual play dates on FaceTime, or you could do in a Google Classroom. If you contact the teacher and say, hey, can I borrow your Google Classroom? My kid wants to talk to this scholar. Maybe that's something that we could arrange for you all. And something that as parents and as older people we used to do back in the day, we mailed letters. You can introduce your kids to mailing letters or mailing drawings or certain creative activities to your friends. I know when I was a kid, I was so excited if I received mail at my house. Like, I don't know what it was about it, but I was so excited. Like when my mom's like, oh, you have mail. I was like, I have mail, you know? So that's something that we can go back to. You can definitely call on the phone. You can schedule game nights. There's an app, and I haven't had an opportunity to look into this, but I want to. It's called Pogo, and it's an online game site, so they can play board games with each other on there. And of course, I know a lot of people play PlayStation, and they can interact that way as well. And so these are some ideas that we can do. And I know that there's a lot of limitations on us interacting with people. I think I heard on the news this morning, the governor's limiting things to 2 families. And when this first started, I remember being so overwhelmed with emotion because I had looked out my front window and there was 2 little girls. One of them was on the porch and the other one was on the sidewalk, and they had their baby dolls and they were interacting that way. So that's something that you could try. I mean, I'm out there and I'm like the weird neighbor. I'm taking pictures, you know, sending it. And I was like, I'm so excited because these parents, to me, it was innovative. It was like, oh my gosh, they have these kids out here playing. So just utilize those things in order for your kids to stay connected, because I think it is extremely important for them to be socially and emotionally connected with their peers outside of the school day. All righty, next slide. You can go to the next slide. We actually was going to have Lauren E. Downey, and she is the clinical director of the Trauma Informed Counseling Center. So what they did at Fayette County Public Schools is most schools are provided with a mental health specialist, and we will be provided with one that will be in-house next year as well. However, we don't have one this year, so they gave us a community partner, and our community partner is Lauren Downey, and she is the director of the Trauma Informed Counseling Center. And I thought she would be able to be here today, and I'm assuming something may have came up. However, I will provide you all. Is she here?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Downey, I did not see you come in. Well, you should have stopped me as I'm about to. Hello, Miss Downey.
Hi, how are you?
I am excellent. I am so excited, but let me be quiet and let you introduce yourself. This is Miss Downey. I did not see her come in, so go ahead, Miss Downey.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ross. Yes. My name is Lauren Downey, and so I am the owner and the clinical director of the Trauma Informed Counseling Center here in Lexington, Kentucky. So we have 2 offices here in Lexington, one off of Mill Pond Drive and one off of Harrodsburg Road. But as you all know, we're not doing a great deal of in-person just for really specialized cases. So right now, kind of sticking to that telehealth format. So yeah, we see everything from kiddos, obviously, all the way up to adulthood. We do specialize in trauma. However, we see people with a wide range of mental health concerns. So that can be just some generalized anxiety, which we've had some kiddos who've experienced that since the pandemic began. We have some other kiddos who have some behavioral issues and stuff like that. So we really do capture a great and a wide gamut of services for kiddos. So in addition to the individual counseling, we offer some different types of groups. We're running one right now for adult women. It's an empowerment group, and we're also running one for young women. So that's between the ages of 12 and up, about 12 to 14 or 15, depending on the client. And we also offer targeted case management at the Trauma Informed Counseling Center. So essentially what we call TCM in the clinical mental health field is really specialized for those people who maybe have additional needs outside of the clinical counseling setting. So whether it be like, I don't know how to apply for insurance, or I need help maybe finding a new job, or I need to connect with some other community resources outside of counseling. We have specialized people on staff who really help our clients kind of coordinate with certain things in the community they may need, with churches even. So just depends on what the client's needs are. Thirdly and finally, we also offer medication management. So depending on the kiddo or the adult who maybe has mental health needs that really require medication management, we also have somebody on staff who can prescribe medication as well. So we really are trying to be a one-stop shop and create the least amount of barriers for clients who really do want help and want to improve their mental health and their lives. So that's a small little snapshot of TIC is our nickname because our name is long. So either way, you can look us up online on Google or on our website. There's a contact form on there as well as a referral form, or you can always just give us a call.
Thank you so much, Miss Downey. And she actually is on vacation, guys. So that's why I thought she was not coming today. So Miss Downey, that really means a lot to our staff and our families for you to show up on your vacation.
Yes,
so thank you so much. I have actually also provided her flyer. It is in one of the RISE material bags. I believe it was the second material bag that we sent out in September or October. It's one of the two. I will send out a dojo reminder to let you all know if you need additional information, and we can also send out her contact information as well. Does anybody have any questions for Miss Downey?
Yeah, just to quickly follow up, I don't think I hit on this either, everyone. So in terms of insurances and stuff like that, so again, to create the least amount of barriers for all the clients we're trying to serve, we do offer Medicaid, commercial, or we accept Medicaid, commercial insurance, sliding scale fees, and then depending on the client, if they just really can't afford it, we also just take on some pro bono cases too. So again, really just trying to create the least amount of barriers and help the most amount of people, so.
Miss Downey, not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask you one last question quickly. So I'm a parent and I'm concerned about my scholar. I know that we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's a lot of things that are going on right now. My scholar's just not really acting like they normally act. Should I contact you or should I wait it out? When should I know when the time for me to reach out for additional support?
Yeah, so something that we encourage a lot of our caregivers and parents to do in general, but especially during this time, something that I have coined and deemed as kind of this emotional check-ins with my kid. I too am a parent, and so I have a teenage son, and so, just not every day because I don't want to harass him and he is a teenager, but at least at the beginning of the week and the end of the week, I'm checking in on him. Hey, how are you actually feeling today? Are you a little sad? Are you a little bogged down with a lot of schoolwork this week? He'll say that he has more work now than he did when he was going in person at Southern. But either way, depending on the week and the day, he may say different things. So for us parents, if you feel like, they're kind of starting reporting more sadness, so more days are telling you they're sadder or more anxious than they're saying that they're feeling okay and relatively good and, looking forward to dinner time or game night or whatever, that probably would not be cause for concern. But for us parents, and if you feel like, you start hearing your say some things more just feeling real sad, really anxious, or trouble sleeping is always a big sign too, then that would maybe be more of a time to reach out to us. Or if you just want to reach out and say, hey, I'm not sure, can you do a consult with us? We do phone consults or telehealth consults as well. So all of that is also an option through us as well. So hopefully that answers your question. But either way, so checking in with them. And then if you're just still not sure and you're like, I have no clue, just give us a call.
Will she give you instructions before she went on her group?
Yes, ma'am. Go for
What
it.
did she tell you to do?
Miss Whitfield, is that your voice?
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I thought you had a question. You made me so excited, and I guess you just accidentally got off mute. That's all right. That's all right, Miss Whitfield. And Miss Downey, if you'd like, can you put the phone number in the chat just in case?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, next slide, please. I also wanted to provide you all with some additional resources that Fayette County Public Schools offers as well. We can actually get those in the chat for you all as well, but I'm going to click on a couple of the links just to show you all. Well, I guess, Ms. Green, you'll have to click, if you can click on that last link for me. All right, so like Miss Downey said, I love the one-stop shop idea as well. But Fayette County actually has this link that Miss Green has put in the chat. So if you want to make a copy of it, or we can get this out to Miss Boyd so that she can share this information with you all as well. But this is our emotional support and self-care resources. It is a one-stop shop. It has our crisis lines that are available if you all ever feel like that you need some additional support. It also has our district mental health specialists that are available, and it has the community agencies, which Ms. Downing falls under as well. And it also has the FCPS student support services as well. Ms. Green, if you don't mind, click on that FCPS student support services. I believe that's the right link that I am looking for. No, that's not it. If you'll go back. Well, let me see. It may not be this actual one. Well, anyways, you can just click on all those links and then it will direct you to your specific need that you need. Yes, thank you so much. So this is the crisis line. So if you ever feel like you need a crisis line, you could go to this one link and it will provide you with all different types of hotlines that you may need for your scholars or even for yourself. So we have that. If you'll go to the link, I believe that's right above that on the slide, Ms. Green, you go out of this one and go back to the PowerPoint. Here is another referral system. So, and this is, they want us to highlight that this is for basic needs and social and emotional and mental health needs only. So all you would have to do is click on the red box where the heart is, where it says submit a request. And this is not for tech support. I think what has been happening is some families have needed tech support and accidentally got to this link. So this is for social, emotional, and mental health needs only. And Ms. Green, if you will click on that last link on that PowerPoint, and I think this may be my favorite. That's why, oh, is it the same one? Let's see. Huh. Did you hit that second one? Is the second one, is it coming up the same? Well, I don't know what happened to it. I'll get you all the link. It is actually a phenomenal link, and I think it's going to be the link that you all probably love the most because it actually has like mindfulness activities in the link, and it has like calming music, it has yoga, it has all types of resources that you all can utilize. And it's like another one-stop shop. So I will make sure that Ms. Boyd gets this information because it is phenomenal. I mean, it saves you from trying to do a Google search on a certain topic and all types of things. So we will definitely make sure that you all get that resource as well. We'll send it out as immediately after this is over. Ms. Boyd, I will get that to you. And I apologize. I'm assuming one of the links may have gotten mixed up. All right, you can go to the next slide. If you all think of any questions, you are a quiet group today, which that is okay. But if you all think of any questions, my email address is listed here. Dr. Birdwhistell's email address is listed here. And Ms. Downing has put her phone number in the chat. If you wrote down the first number, it looks like she gave you the wrong number. So make sure you go back and put the correct number in your contact database. And so that's all I have at this time. If Ms. Downing has anything else she'd like to ask, she can come off mute, or Dr. Birdwhistell, if you have anything else you would like to ask, you can definitely come off a mute at this time. All right. Director Jacobs, do you have anything we need? Oh, Miss Whitfield, I see a hand. I'm excited. All right, Miss Whitfield.
It's not really a question. I just want
Yes.
to take the time to just thank y'all. Um, I know Miss Jacobs probably knows my name very well already because as you can tell, I'm so shy. So, but I just thank y'all for taking care of my daughters. I thank y'all for anything we need if y'all able to help. So I just really want to take the time, especially Ms. Green, always sending me the learning minutes because I like to keep up with that. I like to stay involved in things. So I appreciate y'all always answering my emails in a timely manner. And I understand how busy y'all can be. So to take the time to do that, even sometimes on the weekend, like y'all are just amazing. And I just wanted to take the time to really thank y'all for that.
Oh, Miss
Thank
Whitfield,
you.
you know
Go
I
ahead.
love you, Miss Whitfield. I love you so much. Thank you so much. We always talk about it, right? This is a partnership, and we have to make sure that we are all coming to the table to have these conversations because we all want to create just a wonderful, incredible environment for these girls to go out and break that glass ceiling and become the amazing human beings we know they are. So thank you. Thank you guys all for coming and attending. Miss Downey, Dr. Birdwhistell, Miss Ross, and Mrs. Green behind the scenes, making sure we're on the right slides. I need support with that. So it's just great to have everybody here. So thank you so much for coming and attending and being a part of the conversation.
Can I just throw in one last question, Ms. Ross, for you?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I have a family that's looking for resources, what would you like us to do? Or what would you like them to do?
I would like for them to contact me as well. Contact me, my email address, and I'm actually in the schoolhouse today. So if you don't want to email me, you can call me and I will be here for the rest of the school day as well. But in the future, if any needs arise, definitely send me an email or you can contact the school phone. Burst can get a hold of me as well, but we are more than willing to do whatever we need to do to assure that the families at Rise and the students at Rise needs are being met.
Of resources we can send your way?
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Miss
my
Boo.
camera went out. I got it. Any suggestions on what type of resources we can send in your direction? Any limits?
Can you elaborate a little bit more for me to make sure I'm understanding?
Community resources, are we looking for like maybe help from home, ways to, one of the things the PTA was questioning about was things like helping the families make a nice area in their home that they can make their scholars feel a little more, get away from those distractions. Is that something that our scholars' families can ask you or talk to you about, or even Ms. Birdwhistell? I don't know who would be the contact.
Absolutely. Yes. Dr. Birdwhistell is shaking her head as well. We can definitely collaborate. And we also have another teacher in the building that specializes in providing accommodations for scholars as well. So we can also consult with that teacher as well. So definitely reach out to us and we can help. I know that we have helped our scholars that have requested that we have requested, or we have provided assistance. I'm sorry about that. But yes, ma'am, definitely.
Okay, that's great. We'll have our families contact you directly then, and they can kind of let you know what they need, and we'll work all together to get it done.
Yes, and Ms. Green also said we have a list of resources on our NTIPDL website as well. So if you go to our school website, there's some additional resources on there as well. And Ms. Boyd, I will make sure that I send you that link that was messed up on my presentation, but we will get that to you as well. Yes, she was saying on here with the resources, they vary on assistance with utilities, food, clothing, etc.
Okay.
Ms. Green, you can come off mute.
You know, I like to stay in the background.
I know, that's why I'm
No, but
teasing.
the NTIPDL site is linked to our RISE site, so fcps.net and then the /RISE. And you go to NTIPDL, and then there's a spot that has just a list of resources with clickable links for around Lexington, Fayette area, from the district and beyond. So, and if you don't find it on there, Nina, Ms. Ross is correct. You can contact her, and we will find the resource and work with our partners to make it happen.
Absolutely. So we will get all this information to Ms. Boyd so that she will be able to provide you all with the additional resources as well. And I want to thank you all, parents and guardians, you are our greatest partners here at RISE. Without you all, we wouldn't be able to do anything. I want you to definitely give yourself a virtual round of applause, a pat on the back, because you all are phenomenal. And thank you so much for always going above and beyond for your scholar and also advocating on the behalf of your children. PTA, you are doing a great job, and keep up the good work.
I'm just going to finish up with thank you all for being here and helping out the families. I was glad that we're all working together since we're on two sides of the world right now. Everybody's kind of stuck in their own virtual world behind the screen. So I appreciate you all answering the questions, and thank you parents for submitting questions because we do need you to submit those questions and ask questions to the people who can answer the questions for you. So without you asking those questions, we don't know what you need. So the PTA is here to answer questions. The staff is great to answer questions. Just kind of work together and get what you need in the homes, in the school, and everywhere for the scholars. So if you have any questions for me for PTA, feel free to contact me. I've sent out the emails. And of course, you know who to talk to now for resources in the school. So if anybody has any other last minute questions, I'll be happy to answer. If not, you all have a great day and enjoy your lunch. And if anybody else has anything else to add, feel free to stick around and add it.
Looks like Miss Whitfield might have her hand raised.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah, and I also just want to thank y'all for making it a safe and comfortable way of talking, because sometimes you do worry about if you say certain things, you might get yourself in trouble or have to deal with things you really don't want to deal with, like DCBS or anything of those natures. That because it's a very important. I know for me, I got two little ones, and I try to keep them separated as much as possible, but that doesn't always work. And I try to do everything as much as I can, and it is such just a relief to have like partners. And if I need to vent to any of y'all know me, y'all done see my name, y'all know, and it really is very helpful because to be a parent, and it's not that you don't want help, but sometimes you worry, like if you say this, or is it going to get scrutinized? If so you worry about that. But I feel like I really don't worry about that here. I feel like I can kind of tell y'all whatever. And as Ms. Jacob knows, I definitely don't hold back. So, so I really want to thank you for that. And Miss Ross knows as well that, we knew each other from William Wells, so I just really appreciate that. And a lot of parents, we need that, and it's a blessing that we can come to y'all, and of course y'all are women, so y'all just like on a whole nother level of intelligence anyway. So, but I really do appreciate that because I know I'm Mama Bear, and I don't always see it the right way right away because I let my emotions get me. When you're a Mama Bear, that's how I go. But I am learning, and I appreciate y'all patience. And your teachers are like, Ms. Jacobs, you just don't even know how extraordinary your teachers is. Like, they are so patient, and they are just so like, and my daughters just love them. Like, they are just so amazing to me. I'm just like, I like this place. So I just wanted to say that as well.
Well, I think that is a beautiful way for us to close. Thank you so much, Ms. Whitfield. And thank you all for showing up and taking a seat at the table so we can have this important conversation about our scholars to make sure they get any type of support they need, and also to support us as adults in their lives, to make sure we're helping them navigate this really critical and challenging time.